I'm going to assume that maybe, he's complaining of symptoms in one extremity, maybe he's got tingling or he's got paralysis. So let's just assume that he's perhaps suggesting a root irritation, some radiculopathy in the leg. So I'm just going to test. Now, as you said, you're quite right. We took the history. Observation's the first thing. I don't need to run through everybody. I hope watching will be aware of the overt signs of a lower motor neuron issue, because that's what we're talking about. I'm saying lower motor neuron because I'm thinking about the lower motor neuron. I'm not doing this test to generally assess everything. I'm interested in understanding the integrity of that structure. Remember, when a patient presents with a symptom or a sign, that symptom or sign is simply the effective manifestation of corrupted or altered behavior. Right. So structure governs function. If the structure's changed, the function's changed. So I'm going to assess the function and see if that function does what I'd expect it to do. Now, in order to know what it does in the context of the individual, I want to find out what's normal for him. So I am therefore going to justify looking at the upper extremities, even though I know that nothing's wrong with them, because then it gives me a better idea of understanding what's going wrong with it. Now, in fairness, again, I'm going to have to judge this. So if Stephen screams, it may be because I've hit a bony prominence, because I can't see his bits. So here we go. I'm just going to do a few tests. I also have to tell you that Stephen's reflexes are not particularly brisk. I'm sure they were in a different life. But in this case, they're not particularly brisk, so we may not see a great deal. So this is how I would do it. So always stretching the tendon. So I'm starting off up here. Everybody at home should be saying what level it is, if it's going to be C5 or 6 in this case or whatever. Not a lot happening now, I have to tell you, but I can feel a very slight, very, very slight jerk. I'm probably imagining it. I'm moving down there to the wrist. There we're getting something a little bit more explicit. Thank heavens the prop didn't fail entirely. And I'm comparing. So side to side, side to side, side to side. I'm now going to use gravity. Let that go, please, Stephen. Thank you very much. And I'm going to tap the triceps. Normally I would look for evidence of a jerk there, just in muscle contracture, because I'm certainly not getting much there. Same thing again, I've changed hands. I'm running parallel to the limb, and that's it, and I've pretty much finished reflexes up there. I can do power. I'll come back to power in a minute when I kind of have got a bit more stamina. Right, I'm moving down now. Don't have to sit him up, don't have to change the position, don't have to do anything extreme. I'm now going to see if I can get I'm really having to bash this, but I think you can see that that's actually working. I would only normally do it once. And the important thing is just to let the tendon hammer just drop, so as it were, the energy goes into the limb. There we go. And I'm managing to elicit something there. And even if you can't see much of a jerk, you can certainly see a contraction in the muscle belly. Right, now I'm going to move down here. Now, you probably expect me to go to the ankle jerk, which I'm going to do, and you'll notice I'm just tapping my own hand. Patient said to me yesterday, "Is something terribly wrong? I feel like I can't actually detect you hitting me with am I numb?" Now, we saw an intact ankle jerk. In this case, because I was thinking of roots, I'm not going to start talking about the upper motor neuron. I'm not going to talk about focal lesions centrally. I'm only interested in this case because of his history, which we haven't divulged. We're only worried about what was going on locally. So I was happy with that. But the key thing here is, and I haven't rehearsed this on Stephen, in principle, every tendon has a reflex. Every tendon has a reflex. So in this case, if I was looking at the foot, remember we went from up here, from a knee jerk down to the ankle jerk, so we missed out L5. And in some cases, you can, and there we go, look at that. We can actually elicit by tapping the EHL, the extensor hallucis longus, we're getting an L5 response. Absolutely fantastic. Thank you very much for that. You came through in the end, Stephen. So, having done that, I'm not going to do a plantar response because I'm not, in this case, particularly worried about that. I could have done power. I'll come back to this in a second. So, for the upper extremities, if we want to do this in order, can you just stop me doing that, please? Thank you. Can you stop me doing this, please? Thank you. Stop me doing that. And everybody should be saying at the moment, probably, well, biceps, C5, C6 perhaps, C7 pushing away. You can do it over here. Stop me doing that. Thank you. Next, C8. That forms an 8, in theory, figure of 8. So give that a good grip. You can do it together if you want to. Go on, give it a good
enjoying
grip.
this.
Thank you, I'm sure. Fingers apart, please. Stop me pushing them together. Stop me doing that. So that's T1. It's the lumbricals, intrinsic muscle of the hands. Thank you very much. We could have done the thumb as well for T1 as well, I suppose. Push, push, push into abduction. That's fine. That's that lot.
Interpreting that, in a lot of the textbooks, we get, well, grade them 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you're supposed to have this ideal measure where every patient is a 1 and they're all feeling the same, but it's not like that, is it?
No, and that's the thing, and that's why comparison is such a critical thing. You really cannot easily grade things like that. Reflexes are a little bit more explicit, but if a person's got brisk reflexes all over the damn place,
Yeah.
then that's normal, and they've always been like that, then that's normal for them. But yes, I know that some disciplines like to try and grade things, and they think it provides a level of objectivity, and if anyone's had to fill in a Bupa form, they ask you for specific outcomes. I do struggle with that sometimes, because I think, well, we need to describe this. It can be very difficult, or that it's weak for them. If something is obviously, look, one of the forms of comparison, other than being this idiosyncratic side-to-side, up and down comparison, and a temporal comparison, in that some people are different on day to day, depending on how tired they are and so on. We do also still have the benefit of the bigger picture. So, one pixel being out, they are different. Never met you before, but you are particularly weak in this limb compared to everybody else.
You haven't talked about reinforcement for... You're about to talk about
I wasn't actually,
okay.
because it wasn't necessary, but I suppose we can.
Well, I always wondered about reinforcement. If you need to reinforce to get this one, but not that one, that's a difference.
Again, because everybody is idiosyncratic. Blood pressures vary sometimes enormously from side to side as well. Sometimes 20 millimeters of mercury systolically between the two sides. Everything is, everything can be varied, and you can only gauge this in the context of multiple tests. No one test is pathognomonic, or very rarely. It's very difficult. We can we can show this off if you want to. So what Stephen's talking about, I'll take this reflex here and see if it. Oh no, we won't. Actually, I'll tell you what. Let's see if this one's probably better on screen, isn't it? So I can hit it. So look, we've got our muscle belly contracting there, and Stephen, if you could get into the reinforcement position. So Stephen, in a minute, on command, is going to perform an isometric contraction. If we had a drum roll, it would be very useful. Okay, so and I'm going to tap when I give you the signal. So 1, 2, 3, go. There we are, and that was exaggerated. Should we try that just once again? Don't go yet. 1, 2, 3, go. Look at that. Thank you. He's actually wired into the plug down here, and we'll just